Hi, this is Mark from Altcoin Buzz, and we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin chart again today because things are starting to clear up a little bit more, and there's some things that we want to watch for. And before we get into the chart, just a reminder, while you may learn some things about TA, and I want you to get interested in TA, you're only going to see kind of the very, very basics of whatever we talk about to give you the backdrop on what we're talking about so you don't get confused. But I encourage you to go and do more research if you want to get involved. So let's take a look at the chart. So the same chart that we've been looking at for a while, right? It doesn't change that much. Somebody brought it up in the comments yesterday that they were happy to see that we were using the Heikin candles. They hadn't seen any other folks doing TA use these candles, which I was surprised about because it seemed like I had seen a lot of people using them. But nevertheless, just so you know, these are different candlesticks that are used from just price action candlesticks because they take averages to use the highs, the lows, the openings and closes. They average them out, and then they give you kind of the overall trend on whether it was positive or negative action compared to the prior candles. So that's why they look a little different maybe from traditional candles. But like we were talking about yesterday, we had a couple different potential positive outcomes, one of which doesn't look like it's going to transpire, and that would have been the liquidations of the shorts to give us a nice price rise up. That looks like it's out of the picture now. And you can see before this action happened in here today, I'd drawn out this ascending triangle. You could even call it a wedge if we wanted to give this a channel, or flag rather. We wanted to give it a channel this way because that typically means a continuation of the previous trend, which was a downtrend. Okay, and you can see that we have broken through that. So what does that mean for us now? Well, it hasn't ruled out the potential of that spring yet. I'm not calling doomsday and that we're going to test this support level one more time down in here and break through. Because you can see that we had that same kind of pattern that happened back here, right? Before we got that little spring into a rally. We came up, did a hard dive in and fairly fast into prior support levels back in here. So how does that spring look if that's going to happen? Well, we take a pretty quick dive into this area, okay? Probably into that $5,900 to $5,800 range, right? Enough to shake out the weak hands. And God, I hope we don't have any weak hands still left in this market, but enough to get people nervous that we're going to break through the support level. And then we'd have a very quick up thrust, as you can see here. If we get a close below the support level, that is going to be a very testing time for us. So one of the other things we need to consider is that since we had this lower low here, not much lower than here, but it was a lower low, and a lower high from here, not much lower again, but still a lower high, we need to consider whether or not this becomes our trading range and would bring us back right into that support that we've been testing so many times, right? But one of the things in the fundamentals that makes me concerned is that we do have another ETF that they're going to do to come out with a position on in the next couple days. Now, likely, much like the last ETF, it'll be extended, but we saw that didn't matter in the price action before. We had a bunch of FUD come in and it dropped our price significantly down. Now, while this ETF hasn't really had a whole bunch of hype around it like we had back here, this was largely built up on the hype of the ETF decision coming up. This was the reaction to the delay on that decision. We haven't seen, this is not price action that is, in my mind, indicative of the ETF that's coming up here on the 23rd, or we might have seen some price reaction to the positive. So really, we're back to even, right? If all of this was built up off of the ETF decision and all of this was based off of that decision being postponed, we're really kind of back to even if we just pretended like that had never happened, right? We're kind of back to even right here. So what would that tendency have been? It would have been to, follow the direction that we're looking at right now. So as we near this support level again, in the next couple days, if we have that happen, the potential to break through it, let's hope not. Let's hope all the weak hands have been shaken out already, but we do need to be aware of that. And concern number 2 to that is that if we look at the price volume, and I bring in some of the price action from last year into this, if we do break through that support level and get down below this $5,200, call it $5,300 range, there's no gap between there really and 45. So it's a pretty quick fall from this support, in my opinion, down to that $4,500 level, somewhere in that range. Something to be aware of, something to look for, something to be conscious of. One of the things that we didn't look at the other day that'll be kind of fun is we didn't really look at the Fibonacci on the weekly chart. And I'm not going to do this, exact or anything, and I'm going to use the closes up here. But this is back in August, so we'll just use that candle. And, we're right at that 786. That golden area on the Fibonacci retracement tool. This is on the weekly chart. And we did talk about how important this level is anyway, but I thought it was interesting the way that lined up right now. So I hope that helps you out. Well, I imagine we'll be back tomorrow looking at the chart again just to give a quick update to see what's been happening overnight. Don't forget to look at Altcoin Buzz.io and start there to see all the great information that's coming out through the day from our riders. You can also link to our social media. Make sure you make some comments below. Hit the like button if you would. Also subscribe and hit the alerts button so you know when the videos pop up. Until next time, may all your trades be good ones.